Welcome to the first ever podcast that we don't yet have the name of. But it's me, Wynn Yang, and Tyler Saki.
What's up, y'all? It's lit, big lit.
Yeah, this is gonna be an experience for us. Let's just quickly explain the concept. We're just gonna be talking about music, and in college we had this thing called composition seminar where we just talked about each person's pieces. They presented for 5 minutes, and then everyone just asked questions and shit. So except this is gonna be just the two of us, and we're just gonna be critiquing and talking about each other's music and whatnot.
It's like a composer's therapy session.
Yes, exactly. We'll just keep it loose and see what happens.
A circle jerk of our own songs.
Yikes. Alright, we're off to a great start. I'm playing this shit.
Salt I keep under my tongue, a reservoir of tears is ammunition. Anyone can see I've just begun, but I'm ready for a quick draw split decision. Don't try to tell me better. I might just turn your ash to glitter. Pour salt in the wound, now I'm tongue-tied. I'm holding my breath, trying not to cry. I'll be plotting my pride while my eyes dry. I've got a damn good mind, so don't you smile so mockingly. I break the mold and you hate to see it. Aim and run, I bet you do it just for fun. I wonder where you got that sense of humor. Pour salt in the wound, now I'm tongue-tied. I'm holding my breath, trying not to cry. I'll be plotting my pride while my eyes dry. I'm a siren, insatiable. Just wait till you see my teeth. Your sour heart tastes like candy. In a game where love means nothing, the heartless queen of spades would eat you alive. Straight face, I can tell you're bluffing. I'll spit in your drink, make you swallow your pride. Pour salt in, pour salt in. I'm trying not to
How
cry.
much I dislike you.
Pour salt in,
Really?
pour salt in.
I want you to know how much you hurt me.
Trying not to cry. Look who's laughing now.
What song was this called?
This is Salt by
Salt.
Olivia Rogers. This is a song I mixed. I did not produce this song.
Okay.
So it's just her. I got all these stems and.
Did she produce it?
No. My homies at Bad News Records.
Okay.
Produced it and
Shout out Bad
mixed
News
it.
Records.
Shout out Bad News Records.
Wow.
Great dudes. Great producers. Okay. And the overall like aesthetic of this project is kind of like this Taylor Swift-ish, but like the way I imagine it is like a little bit like a dark mode Taylor Swift.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I see that a lot. I thought it was interesting. For me, it was kind of like a mix between Billie Eilish and like Taylor Swift, because we had that electronic elements to it. But one of the things I wrote down was like so first I thought it was electronic vibe, but then like the second verse it was more like acoustic,
like
you know,
disco stuff.
I was like, holy shit.
They switched it up.
And then they like merged both of those elements together, and I think that was very interesting and also really, really pleasant to the ears for real, because it's like you got taste of both of the worlds. And they combined to make like a really chill, bigger thing. It's not like they were like, oh, here's this gigantic crescendo to this mashup, but it was very subtle with how they did it.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job, especially with like how they incorporated the different drumming elements. Like they switched the drums from like 808s and like this male chant thing. So if we go here, like they used this for a snare for a bit during like the more electronic sections. I think this is them themselves. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That sounds really dope too.
I think they did all the effects for that.
They did?
Honestly,
Wow.
all I did was just EQ and compression.
Wow.
And like stock Reaper EQ and compression.
Okay, bad.
Nothing. Like,
so how many total tracks?
I think 116. Yeah,
Oof.
116. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's thick. They throw in a lot of like random stuff. Like, if I turn up these waveforms a little bit, they'll have like chain samples, for example. Like this is like acting as a hi-hat in some parts of this. There you go.
Wow.
It's subtle.
It is subtle.
I think they did a really good job of like layering textures and
creating the
whatnot.
atmosphere behind it. So
Most definitely.
no, I rock with that a lot. How was the mixing process for you?
It was good. It was a lot of just so like once I get the stems in from the producers, I like organize them into these like subgroups, and I just make sure they all fit together and that they leave enough space for the vocals.
Yeah,
that's like my main priority. Just carving out EQs, so like and compressing them so that they're all about the same like dynamic range. I don't want anything popping out too heavily.
Understandable.
Yeah, because they'll have like synth hits, and like this hit comes in all the time.
Got a damn good mind, so don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want it to like stick out.
Bah, bah.
Because when they sent it to me, that's what it was like.
Oh.
It was just like super loud. So it was. It's my job to compress EQ and like get the levels right for everything. But the main part was just like getting all these vocals to line up and sound great and whatnot.
Yeah.
So Olivia actually does the editing on these. She
Really?
records herself and then tunes it, and then all I do is like the actual mixing part. Like, I don't do any of the editing.
That's actually so helpful.
No,
expedites the process.
Oh, for real,
extremely.
it makes my job so much easier.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the hardest part. People like expect you to be able to read their minds sometimes.
Yeah.
And I find that like all too often it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Especially people that can sing but are relatively pitchy. It might be like sometimes the pitchiness is an element you want to keep, but that might be like, oh no, I want it crystal clear. So
it all depends on the person and whatnot too. And for her, I found like overwhelmingly it works better if she tunes it, because like she knows exactly what the melody is supposed to be. Yeah. In my head, I probably have a different idea of what the melody is like gonna be. Yeah. And so like it just makes the process easier. And she offered, so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm never gonna say no. Like I'll do the other stuff, like the fun stuff, like delays and EQs.
No, for real. That's the beauty of artists that know what they want in their sound and how to do it too.
Right.
Because it's like now you don't have to worry about like artists being like, oh, I want it to sound like this, but they can't describe
Right.
in any sense of how they want it to
Yeah.
sound like.
You know,
so.
Olivia used to be a music tech major.
Yeah, she used
yeah.
to be. Yeah. Shoot, man.
So it makes sense that she can like tune and do all the other like
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so like all the stems I get from her are pretty clean.
No, for real, for real.
But then like low key the hardest thing for this project was just making sure, as far as like getting the stems go, was making sure the cuts were clean. There were a couple cuts in here from the producers that weren't absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So it's like our job to smooth those out and make sure they're faded correctly. For her though, like the bulk of the mixing was like pretty stock standard. So like for the verses, it's all
Salt I keep
There's a
under
couple
my tongue.
But overall, it's just a lot of like imaging to make sure that like to give it that like full feel without any. So like all these doubles are imaged, but like the doubles in the chorus are like just like pulled left right. I don't have to do any imaging because they're different enough. She sent me enough files that I could do 2 doubles without having to sacrifice like
That's
she sent me
interesting.
5 doubles of the chorus,
Sheesh,
and then I was able to use them all because like they were just enough to give me that like wideness without the extra like phasiness that the imager can sometimes do.
That's interesting though that you put an imager on them.
Yeah, on
Because
the
I haven't seen that before.
really.
Yeah.
I see it more in rock and metal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
That's where I got it from. I saw. I don't remember who it was. Probably like Joey Sturgis. Or something like.
yeah.
Shout out Joey Sturgis.
Shout out. Shout out.
He also uses Reaper Gang.
Hey.
But he I think he probably did like a vocal tutorial, and like one of the things he uses was like a doubler, or he uses an imager on the doubles to get like a wider like sound without like sacrificing that clarity that comes with having a stable center.
Cause I usually use like a stereo pan for real, and kind of just put it in that section of the mix for real. But no, that's interesting, and I'm excited. I kind of want to try it. I'm like, ooh.
I think it works really well on like hooks and whatnot.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
Stuff like that. Stuff where you want it to be slightly wider than just like straight up and down the center.
Cause I was listening to a song earlier, and they were having the chorus was crazy. It was like, fuck it and record. But so the first fucking record, it was just like one vocal.
Yeah.
But then they had like a double to kind of like just put an accent on it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do you think that imaging too can help put that accent on like a word or something like that?
Yeah, most definitely. I did something similar. I didn't use an imager, but for this like breakdown part, she said I could experiment. And so I did. I was like, fuck it, I'll just do whatever I want. And so I came up with this chop.
Trying not to how much I dislike you. Really?
But yeah,
I love the panning. I'm just a big
left,
fan
right.
of like.
I love it. I love it when people do that. I think it's so fun.
It's really fun. I think it also adds to the movement of the beat. For
Exactly.
real,
I think so too. Especially like there's only like 808s, chains, and drums right here, so it's there's not much happening.
Yeah.
So I figured like the way to get like a full sounding thing without like all that shit like everywhere, it's just bounce left, right, and whatnot.
No, for real. I also think that like when people dance to music too, depending on like where they listen to in the mixes, I feel like they dance kind of to the mix often, because it's like if it pans and it's like a fire thing, they might be like, oh, over here, over there, you know what I mean? So
there's a little bit of like there's like rhythmic elements to mixing, like the way the compressors like are hitting. You kind of dance a little bit different.
You're kind of directing where the dancers are, or like a predetermined path almost, where dancers can go with your songs, depending on just where everything is placed.
Yeah, and I can see the music video for this, like flashing lights and like left, right, flashing lights.
Shout out to the flashing
stuff like
lights. Yeah.
Yeah, but like to emphasize certain words and shit, like there's like a layer that's distorted underneath.
That's some good distortion.
Yeah, it's a TSE 808. It's a guitar pedal.
It's milky.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. But then you couple that with like the normal chop.
Yeah, that's totally
gives a little bit of emphasis.
Yeah.
And I think I actually send it to a little bit extra reverb too, or no, delay. I have a delay that's up an octave as well as a super wide reverb in here.
Yeah.
And it gives it that like super spacey feel, because there's a lot of space to fill here, but it doesn't get too muddy. That's like, and that's like that's what I wanted with this. Like I didn't want it to be like too much, but still have that like cool like wide sound stage and whatnot.
Yeah. No, this joint was really, really dope for real.
Thank you, bro.
Mixing was beautiful.
Thank you.
Production. What was it again?
Bad News Records.
Bad News Records. Amazing job.
Yeah,
Great job, y'all.
I think they did a really
That was
good
really
job.
dope.
This is probably my favorite song off of this EP.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's called And Then What.
And Then What?
Coming out September 17th.
September 17th.
But probably by the time we release this episode.
Shoot, it might have already been dropped.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Yeah, probably would have been dropped by now.
Shoot. So shout out though.
Yeah.
I fucked with it. Shout out to Olivia. Olivia, we love you so much.
We need to
such
get
a
your
darling.
permission. We need to get your permission to do this shit. I need to hit her up, make sure I can actually do this.
Right.
We'll fucking see. I mean,
That's hilarious though.
I still need to ask all the artists that I'm gonna show
Okay,
you.
but that's a real trap though, being an engineer or even a producer that works with musicians, is that like, if you're working with an artist and they either do a full song or they're like, oh, this is an idea and this is a dope idea. You working on the music, you have the project files. You're like, I fucking love this. And you like, I know I have a couple songs that I want to like use in my own promotions, but like I just produced and like mixed it, and I'm like, dang, well, they haven't given me the good to go with the song. Exactly. I don't know what they're gonna do with the song. Yeah. But I'm like, damn, like.
Yeah, it's weird because like, I could delete your entire project. I mean, look, I'm not going to, but
oh my gosh, man,
it's just like, it's like, what ownership do engineers have? I actually don't know this answer because like, what elements of this do I own? Like, what is my intellectual property? I don't really know.
Is it just the project file? Is it?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
how
can I claim like composition? Because like technically, I did compose some of this. Yeah. Could I get a writer's credit for this? Because on some level, this chorus, she didn't write this. I wrote this. I chopped up her sample. Yeah. I don't know.
Honestly,
I don't know.
You are a composer, but I was kind of gonna go like, is a plug-in chain like composition, like is that like edits, arranging, like those kind of things are kind of interesting for engineers.
Yeah, I don't actually know the answer to that. I don't think I mean, full disclosure, like neither of us are Grammy award winning engineers.
Very true.
So we're just documenting what little we do know.
No, that's facts. But I think it's an interesting question to ask, because it's like, we do be having the project files, and we're always expected to have the project files. So it's kind of like we are like we are the ones.
Yeah, we hold the project. Like this, the final project is never going to come from the producer. It's never going to come from the artist. It's I who is going to deliver it. If I master it, I will be the one delivering it.
Right. And you were the first person to have the masters fresh off the bounce.
Right, exactly.
Offline or online. You got the fresh donuts out the bakery.
Right, exactly. I am the last step. So like, what part? I don't know.
It's like you bring the donuts to the party, and then everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, I love the donuts," but then niggas are like, "Dang, like you didn't even get them." Like, I don't.
What the fuck was that metaphor? Oh my god, I'm gonna have an existential crisis over my career.
Our engineers just, online delivery services. I
guess on some level, if
Quality.
you simplify it, that's all it is. It's just a service.
Shoot.
Because, like, for example, if I was hired to build a deck,
yeah,
right, the deck's not mine. They paid me to build that deck, and I just gotta leave it alone.
that is, you can't even go on. You can't pull up
No,
and
no.
be like, hey, yo, I'm just enjoying the
Oh,
deck
fuck,
that
it's
I-
clipping. I see it clipping. Whatever,
Oh.
we'll fix it. We'll
Hey,
fix it.
engineers, we'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
well, hey, you're the one editing this.
Oh, no, that's true. That's true. Isotope RX.
Yeah, I was
come
about to
save
say,
us.
let's just use RX and
Oh,
declip it.
man.
Worst comes to worst, we'll just say it's part of the aesthetic, whatever.
You know.
This is very loose. I'm drinking alcohol, so it's fine.
Right.
They don't get a sponsor.
Right, no sponsors.
No, no
yet.
free sponsors.
But free to sponsor us, definitely.
if you, any seltzer company,
Hey.
look, fuck it.
Nobody talks about the engineer like pack that the engineer brings so they can engineer for long sessions.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's always I need a bunch of water.
Yep.
I need some kind of juice. I had this one session, and it was like an 8-hour session. So I went to Whole Foods. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this. I asked them if they like wanted any food. Got some chips. Then I saw like this thing called kefir in Whole Foods, and I was like, oh, this like orange milk kind of thing. And I was like, fuck it, you know what I mean? I'll just drink it, whatever. So I started drinking it, and it was like really. They call it the champagne of milk. And it really does have like this kind of carbonated, it's subtle, but it does have that. So I was just drinking that. And once the session started, I was like, I didn't eat anything, but I just drank basically a bunch of heavy cream. And I was just like, holy shit. My shit was
Knock you
tore
out.
up. I was tore up in the first part of that session.
That's rough. That's rough.
Juice and water
I used to
is
get-
all I need.
I used to get tipped in Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper?
I would tell people, hey, like when I worked at Listen Vision in DC, shout out Listen Vision.
Listen.
They I told every client, like, hey man, like if you ever want to bring me anything,
Yo.
Dr. Pepper. Like if they ever ask,
Right,
like,
right.
hey, you want anything? Like the answer is always a Dr. Pepper.
That's hilarious.
Hey, Dr. Pepper, sponsor us.
Right. Just have one on the table though. But
yeah, for real.
no, this shit was dope, dog.
Thank
I
you,
really,
bro.
really fucked with it.
I
Really,
appreciate
really did.
that. I think my role in this was really just to polish everything.
Mhm.
And that's what I really like doing as a mixing engineer.
Yeah.
Like where I don't have to be like fixing every single note or like
Mhm.
every single thing that I don't have to go super into the weeds with it. I can focus on my own thing.
I feel like the first rule of engineering is making sure it's good at the source. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like, just because you do a lot of fixing,
Mhm.
if you could fix it from the source, and the source is clean, it makes everything just
Yep.
buttery smooth.
Most
for real,
definitely.
for real.
I played zero part of this of like how they recorded.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay. But they were live instruments, right?
No.
All of it was...
Except the maybe guitar and bass, everything else was programmed, and like the samples they use, like the
Okay, because the bass did sound real.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bass was real. I think like these drums and shit, like if you just solo the percussion, these are all sampled.
Wow.
And obviously,
I hear it now, yeah.
But it's not like sampled 808 or trap.
Yeah.
It's more like sampled like disco drums and shit.
Mhm.
I mean, there's even a couple of disco drum fills. I think like the fill into, I think like I don't know, verse. They do like a got to, and that's like a very disco thing.
Did you, I heard like some stuttering. Is that just the delay?
Oh yeah, that's
or
me.
Is that...
That's me. That's a fun one. I want to talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that. So it's this thing right here. So Olivia, she said like in her notes when I was like getting ready to mix this, what she does is she sends a video to me like describing what she wants.
That's
like
dope.
a lot of artists, actually basically every artist I know, they're better with describing things with sounds. And so she made this sound that was kind of like, she said she wanted it to jitter, like as if something was going wrong, like something was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna automate bit reduction
nice.
as well as a delay and a transgate. So like it's three really weird effects. Like it's a super spacey delay. So like if I just listen to the bit reduction, it sounds like this. This is what it sounds, and it's just.
While you
So
That gets intense.
Yeah, it gets pretty intense.
But the
transgate, you add that.
while you
And it's like glitching out, and then you add a delay on that, like that's super spacey, and then you have like a more natural sounding thing.
while you
That's crazy, because I use a guitar rig.
Yeah.
So like, I thought you were using guitar rig on that, but you
It's bit
basically
reduction.
made a guitar
Yeah,
rig
I mean,
out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about it, like, bit reduction, because you're downsampling, or I guess not to downsampling, you're reducing the bit depth.
Yeah.
So if you're reducing the bit depth, that's kind of like what distortion is. You're like clipping the tops and bottoms of the waveforms.
Yeah. How low did you go with the bit depth?
I think I went down to.
while you
1 bit.
That's some crunchiness.
Yeah, it's crunchy.
Wow.
It's crunchy. So I mean, it's basically just distortion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I
a
fuck
really
with it.
digital
Yeah.
sounding distortion. Sorry for wrong.
Oh.
Fact check us on that one.
We're all humans.
Yeah, we're all
For
humans.
For all.
That's just what I remember from 2055 Music
Yeah.
Tech. We went to Virginia Tech.
Shout
I
out
don't know.
Hokies Forever. Shout out Hoda Copy. I just. All right. Should we go to the next?
All right. That's the episode. That's the episode. All right, that's one.
Oh my gosh!
Some motherfucker.
It's your boy.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, damn right. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, I'm rolling up.
Fuck Wynn though.
I'm running out of time, I can't get this on my mind. I'm supposed to be elated, I can't stop, I guess I'm jaded. Or just faded, or just wasted. Drown my head in toxic places, cause there's so much time just wasted. Time just wasted. Call my phone, let the ringtone, let the voicemail play out. It's just a cop out, north, south, go without. Throw back the snow cloud. What the fuck?